morning, guys. Happy Wednesday, Mr. Joshua, with another video. So, I want to do a video on my Batman versus Terminator idea that I've been working on for a little bit, off and on. This is part 2 of the video that I did a while back ago. To be honest, I don't even remember when I did it. So, here we go. Where I last left off, I was talking about, the future war, about how cool it would be to have, Batman be in the, I think it would be called the post Judgment Day. So Batman's out there after Judgment Day happened. There's people around. There's Terminators all over the place, all that cool stuff. So I'm gonna backtrack a little bit. So anyways, what ends up happening after he leaves Arkham, he has his first encounter with a Terminator. He's being chased down by a hunter killer. So hunter killers essentially are those little drone airplane things that hover around and shoot lasers and shit. They're pretty brutal from what I've seen in the comic books and in the movies. So anyways, he's going down this highway he's going down this highway trying to make it to the tunnels to escape the HK, and the HK outsmarts him, essentially shoots ahead of him and tags the Batmobile. The Batmobile does a couple of flips in the air all dramatically, and there's a couple of Terminators that are kind of marching down the highway and whatnot, searching for survivors, and he crashes into those Terminators, destroys the Terminators. The Batmobile catches on fire, it's upside down, and the HK assumes that Batman's dead, so it leaves. Then off in the distance, down the highway, you see bits and pieces of the Terminator kill line, which, movie reference, I think the only time that you actually see the Terminator kill line is in Terminator Rise of the Machines, at the very beginning of the movie, where you legit just see a line of Terminators. They're, marching through a bunch of debris and stuff, looking for, leftover humans to terminate. So anyways, here's Batman. He's got his body is broken. He just got into a car accident, and he got his ass beaten by Terminator at the asylum, Arkham Asylum. And he eventually is able to make it out of his Batmobile. His helmet is completely cracked, so he tears off the helmet because he can't see anything. He's fading. He sees the kill line approaching him closer and closer. He makes it to the tunnel, but then realizes from the initial blast from Skynet, when it launched missiles, that the tunnel was completely just bombarded by debris and vehicles, and he can't make it through. And so here comes the Terminator kill line, getting closer and closer. Batman looks around for a place to hide. He can't really do much of anything. Again, his body's broken. He can't move. And he finds a trunk open at a nearby vehicle. And so Batman jumps into the trunk, closes the trunk, kind of looks through the holes of the trunk to, see where the Terminators are at, and he's fading more and more. And he sees the Terminators, they make it up to the trunk where he's at. And he's just, laying there praying that they don't hear him or, see him. And then he finally nods off and sleeps. And then he has a nightmare about Robin being completely destroyed in the nuclear fire, kind of like what happens in Terminator 2 with Sarah Connor, where she loses all of her skin and stuff from the initial blast and turns into a skeleton, something like that. And then the nightmare startles Batman. He wakes up and he realizes where he's at, and he kind of looks through the holes again of the trunk, realizes there's no Terminators around. He slowly opens the trunk. All the Terminators are gone. And so, long story short, on that comic book, which I actually have written down and drawn, he eventually makes it back to the Batcave, and then fast forwards to our story that we have now. So Batman's healed. He, of course, made a new bat suit that would help him destroy Terminators. And so Batman patrols Gotham. Every now and then he'll, come across a Terminator and destroy it with ease now, because he knows how to, destroy them. And a couple months later, Batman is searching on the outskirts of Gotham, and he comes across a Skynet base. And a Skynet base is actually a concentration camp for humans that they've captured throughout Gotham. And this is the first time that Batman's seen live humans in a very long time. And then he gets that spark ignited inside his heart where he lost after the destruction of Gotham. He sees these people, and he has this automatic, just combustion flame in his heart just erupts. And he gets the need to, save people again. And he's watching a concentration camp, trying to find vulnerabilities, and it's being protected by, an HK tank, HKs, Terminators, the works. And even though it's a small group of people, it's still people he wants to save. And he's watching through binoculars. Then it comes across this young girl. She's about 10 years old. She's working in the concentration camp. She's sick. She falls to her knees because she can't support her body anymore. And here comes a T-800 that walks up to her, scans her body, and realizes that she has pneumonia. And runs statistics and comes out with the outcome that the best outcome would be to Terminator. And so the Terminator, raises its plasma rifle and shoots her right in front of her younger sister. And there was nothing Batman could do at that point. Batman couldn't save the girl. And there was no way for him to basically infiltrate the prison to save the people. So Batman, what he does is that he goes back to the Batcave. He comes up with a plan. He sends, I call them bat drones. So he sends bat drones to the facility. This is a long story short, by the way. He sends bat drones to the concentration camp, causes havoc, destroys Terminators, destroys HKs. And the cool thing about the bat drones is that they also double up as explosives. So what they'll do is they'll like dead bomb towards the HK tanks. Spikes come out. They basically slam up against the tanks. The claws will actually dig into the metal of the HK tanks and detonate. I thought that was a pretty cool concept, in my opinion. And so while all this is happening, Batman gets to his Batwing, which is his bat jet. He flies to save the day. He has dogfights with numerous HKs. And there's this one scene that I put in there where he does this really cool, as Deadpool would call it, a superhero landing. So he does a superhero landing in the middle of the concentration camp. There's Terminators that are, scrambling, trying to, figure out what's going on. And Batman just starts annihilating Terminators left and right. And there's one point where a Terminator knocks out Batman's rifle out of his hand, and Batman has a plasma rifle barrel to his face, about to be killed. Then all of a sudden the Terminator just drops to his knees because of a shot in the head, and he realizes that the person who shot the Terminator was the little girl who was the younger sister of the older girl who was shot by the Terminator who had pneumonia. And so ironically what happens there is, after all this is over with, Batman decides to essentially adopt that little girl, and she becomes the new Robin. So with that being said, back to the fight. It's a big fight. Batman eventually wins, rescues all those people, brings all those people back to the Batcave, and he starts training them to be soldiers. He trains them to be like him, be like Batman. And these are people that are a mixture of lawyers, or mixture of criminals, homeless people, just everybody, And he adopts all of them, turns them to his family, and these people start calling themselves they start calling themselves Batman's Army. And so I thought that would have been a pretty cool concept, in my opinion. And then where I left off there, again, it fast forwards, to a couple months later. I brought my bread with me. Hell yeah. So fast forwards to a couple months later, Batman is, secluded in his Batcave. And he's looking through he's looking through like online. He's trying to find like online sources and stuff, trying to figure out if there's any other people like left in the world. And then he comes across this broadcasting, and the broadcasting's coming from John Connor. And then he does a GPS location where it's coming from, and he finds out where John Connor is. And then his last words, he mumbles, John Connor, and that's it. And so what ends up happening after that, in the comic book that I'm currently writing, Batman, again, long story short, Batman, what he does is that he takes all of his people, leftover people of Batman's army, and they go try to find John Connor because it's the last resistance on Earth, from what Batman knows. And that's all they have for this video. Stay tuned for another update. I'm out.